What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into a live video. If you're right here watching us live, thank you for watching us live. I'm joined with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And Dave, I brought you in before I even tell you what we're talking about. It happened. By the way, it happened. Lauri Markkanen has been traded, and also I love Lavin Dark in YouTube chat says, hello, beautiful podcasters. Kind of makes me feel like Philly D in a way. Hello, beautiful bastards, but we're beautiful podcasters maybe. But yeah, we are going to be breaking, well, I say breaking down, but we're just talking about the Lauri Markkanen trade. It's going to be heavy Bulls because, as you know, Dave and I are Bulls fans through and through. So we're going to be heavy on the Bulls, but we're also going to talk Cavs and Blazers because, like I mentioned to Dave before we went live, I guess they were a part of this deal. Like, it did happen, and they were a part of it, even though I really care about one team in this deal.
This might have been a win-win-lose trade, and we'll decide who gets what grade at the end. But, like, look, if you guys haven't watched this before, basketball nerds through and through. So we're not just Chicago fans, okay? Fucking watch basketball like it's a living. So
I love the Bulls though, Dave.
Kenny G. Goddamn check. Thank you, Donnie. Anyway,
Dave, you gotta come out with that Christmas album this year.
Every year, Kenny G's got a Christmas album.
But you were saying?
I don't know.
You were saying we were basketball fans, Dave.
Oh.
We're savants, I think is the word you
savants a bit strong. Heavy fans of the game of basketball. So if you guys haven't seen us before, haven't followed us before, we do have a Discord, Greatest Community on Earth. Link will be down below. Make sure to check that shit out. We have everything in there, not just basketball, literally every fucking topic under the sun. So if you guys want to jump in the conversation
Ronaldo today in Discord.
I did see that. There was a little bit of football conversation.
A little footy news. But before we get into everything, Dave, I've got the Woj tweets up. Apparently the deal, kind of a breakdown, is Cleveland gets Lauri Markkanen from the Bulls via sign and trade. The Bulls get Derek Jones Jr. The Bulls also get Portland's protected lottery pick that will be from 2022. So this upcoming draft year, it'll be a lottery protected pick. The Bulls will also get the Cavs second rounder in 2023 via Denver. And then the Trailblazers get Larry Nance Jr. in the deal. So Cavs get Lowry, Blazers get Nance, the Bulls get Derek Jones Jr., and then picks. I will ask you this up front, Dave. We will start with the Bulls. How much of a motherfucking win is this for the Bulls? Because they are clear winners here, Dave. Clear winners.
All right. So shout out to the front office. Shout out to AKME. Y'all both deserve so much money that the whole city of Chicago would pay you your salary on top of what the Chicago Bulls are already paying you. We're so happy to see movement. This roster has turned over. The only two guys on this roster, I think, still from the olden days are Kobe White and Zach LaVine. Outside that, I think we flipped the entire roster. Good job. Kudos to you guys for making every move necessary to get this franchise back turned right around in such a quick time span. Look, Lowry was an interesting guy. You know, was given the short end of the stick every chance? Yes. Did he not fit the offensive schemes? Correct. Did he also get hurt when it mattered a lot, though? Yeah, that definitely hurt his development. You know, he missed chunks of time each and every season. So I think that it was just time to move on from Lowry. We didn't want to pay him. He didn't fit our future or our timeline. So it felt like the right move. And the fact that we were able to move on from a guy who didn't want to be in Chicago, publicly talked about how little he wanted to be here. It was very well known across the league. And we still got a protected first round pick and a second round pick and a role player for him who's on an expiring deal for $9.7 million, which is hella tradable. I mean, this is just a fucking, like, I don't know what they can't do. Yeah, this has been the best offseason in Bulls history in ever.
Also, the memes have also started, Dave, of, like, the Bulls have dunkers for days, and it's like Zach, DeMar, Derek Jones Jr., Lauri Markkanen, or not Lauri Markkanen, Lonzo Ball. It's just dunkers on dunkers on dunkers. So, like, I disagree with Jake being a troll and in YouTube chat saying like there are clear winners, but I digress. To me, when I saw the pick, I was like, oh, it's a winner, because how it works is it's going to be lottery protected this year. If for some reason the Trailblazers trade Damian Lillard
and CJ McCollum
and don't make the playoffs, and they don't make the playoffs, we get the pick in 2023. For me, that is a win, because even having because the Bulls, you got to remember, the Vucevic deal is not done. We gave them this year's pick, but unless we finish top 4 or in the draft next year, we're either giving them 2023 or 2024. It's probably going to be 2023. So even if the Trailblazers sell their team, make the lottery, we either get a pick in 2023 so we don't completely lose it, or if we lose that first, we get 2 this next upcoming year. So it's like, oh, we're going to double dip here for the pick we are going to lose next year.
Which lets us move up in the draft if we need to, and what could be a top-heavy draft class.
I mean, good point. Like we didn't see a lot of moving around this year like we thought, but like that is so true. You can take it gives the Bulls flexibility, and like you said, Derrick Jones Jr., is he like, oh my God, he's amazing? No, but like you said, he's a role player, a veteran role player for this team. That even if we want to trade at the trade deadline for something, even if we package him with something else to get something, whatever that may be, we can do that. It gives the Bulls flexibility. That's the thing. Flexibility is the key at the end. I think that you say win-win loss here.
I do.
I want to ask you, who's the loser in this trade? Is it the Blazers?
No.
It's the Cavs. Okay.
Cavs.
Why?
Do you want me to get into the Cavs?
Yeah, go ahead. Unless you're the Bulls, to me is it's clear winners, because we got a veteran and a first round pick for Lauri Markkanen. Well, yeah, and a second. To me, I overlooked the second, even though it's important. What we were looking for a play. Every rumor was player and pick from the Spurs when they were rumored to want Lauri to get exactly what we wanted from Lauri Markkanen. I just wipe my hands and I'm clean. We got a pick from them. So, unless you got something to say about the Bulls, I do not.
No, I'm good with it, man. Okay. Bulls I'm thrilled with. So, on to the Cavaliers. Mm-hmm. Something that, here comes the delusional Lauri slander. Okay, you know what? I don't appreciate that, chat. I think you can suck my dick for that one. Look, at the end of the day, every trade could have winners or losers. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We're predicting. So the problem that I look at when I look at the Cavs team is, by bringing in Lauri Markkanen, yes, you're bringing in a guy who has 20 and 7, 20 and 6 upside from a scoring potential. Yes, he is a good outside shooter. The problem is that couple things. I'll run through them. Yeah. One, the contract pay and length. I don't know how that will look, and I know that I was reading through the details as far as what was guaranteed as it went on. Mm-hmm. So it might have a lower guarantee number at the end of this, so it might not be terrible, but I think the contract itself is questionable. I think that the idea that they needed to add another big does not make sense to me. Obviously, now they're talking, rumors are, they're able to move on from Kevin Love in a buyout, which means, guess what? That's more money they're setting aside, because that will be either a 1-year buyout where they're going to lose. I don't even know how much that's going to hurt them. But the point is, they're sinking more money into a position that's not going to help them. You just drafted Evan Mobley. Now, why would I put another guy out there who's going to take time away from my top 3 draft pick? I don't understand the move, because I think that he deserves all the playing time at the 4. You have Jared Allen at the 5. I think you've got guys there to take time, and I think that they should be focused on going smaller, not bigger. I think that adding in another 7-footer who has no fucking toughness in the paint is a mistake, and I think that they're literally only stunting their own growth by doing this. They already have a bunch of young guys on this team, and Lauri Markkanen, coming from somewhere where he's had multiple head coaches, felt like he's been held back everywhere in his career because of the Bulls cutting him short, basically, of what he could be. He could have a good year as far as statistically, but I think that it's going to burn them long term, because he's not the guy that's part of the future for this team. Their future big is Evan Mobley, and they just need to understand that, hey, we've got Mobley, we've got Jared Allen. That's our 4 or 5. That is what our fucking future is.
Mm-hmm.
Both are long term, locked up. Why are we putting Lauri Markkanen into this? I don't understand that move.
So I will say, for me, I do not. Me and you are on other sides here. I don't think any team in this deal is a like straight out loser from today. Now, like you said, you said it. After a couple years, things may be like, oh, that didn't pan out like we thought. They're a clear loser here.
Yeah.
I will say there is a part of me that I will take the joke and say it up front so people can just, okay, it was acknowledged. Doesn't matter. Lowry's going to be injured enough he won't see the court. Like, that's Lowry's problem himself. He can't stay healthy to be on the court. That's why, like, when Lauri Markkanen would be like, well, the Bulls never helped me. Well, your own body didn't help you, man. You couldn't stay on the court. And, like, Bulls fans are so frustrated because all we've done is defend him. We have defended Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
And then he goes and backstabs us. That's besides the point. I got it out there. It's vented. But I do agree with you in the sense of the Cavaliers confuse me, because a couple of years ago it was, hey, we've got Colin Sexton, let's bring in Darius Garland, let's just start drafting guard after guard after guard after guard. Now it's like, oh, well, we signed Jared Allen to a long-term deal because we traded for him. We drafted Evan Mobley, where I know there's a conversation where I am on the page of where you were. Put Jared Allen at the 5, put Evan Mobley at the 4. Evan Mobley's a guy who can play on the outside. He can defend on the outside. Does he need to develop? Sure, develop still, sure. But he is more comfortable on the outside than Jared Allen. But I know there's the defenders out there, or the flip side to that argument. I know Soapy and I had the discussion where Soapy's like, no, he's a backup to Jared Allen right now. Which I'm like, he's a top 3 pick. You should trade Jared Allen. That's what I'm thinking. To where it's like, I almost feel like, will this turn into, it will either turn into one of two things. Either Allen and Mobley are the future and it's Allen at the 5, Mobley at the 4. Or if for some reason Lauri Markkanen actually works, they move Evan Mobley to the 5, they put Lauri at the 4, and because of Jared Allen and how good he is and that contract, they try to move on from him after a year or two. Like, could it be seen as a flexibility thing of like, now we can see where Evan Mobley fits, and if he fits at the 5 more, we have Lauri. If he fits at the 4 more, we have Jared Allen, and we can make that decision. Because, like, contract-wise, I will say, I'm not totally upset about it, because, like, yeah, right now it gets to like 17 mil in the 3 and 4 year, but like 20 mil is what Lauri wanted. We were saying as Bulls fans, like 17 mil was not bad for Lauri, and he's what, 15, 16, 17, 17. Well, 17, almost 18 in that final year.
Yeah. I think that you're paying a starting price for a guy who doesn't fit a starting lineup long term for the team. I think that
I agree with that.
If their job was to flip Nance for somebody they can trade again in the next couple of years as a rehab and flip for his image, I guess I can see it from that standpoint. But again, then we have to start figuring out, like you said, what's the value of him long term if he does put up decent numbers? Because in order to put up decent numbers, he's going to have playing time.
Yeah. And
that means, 1, he has to be healthy. You've already commented on that one. You're correct. He's got an injury history. 2, he's going to take time away from Evan Mobley. And I think that's the biggest thing I keep coming back to is like, why would you want to interject Mobley at the 5 and then Lauri at the 4? It would basically just be like a worse version of what the Pacers have with Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis. Like, it just doesn't fucking make sense to me.
Are we looking at this wrong though? Should it not be he'll take minutes away from Mobley? Is it the Cavs are a team, they know they're going to be bad, they're not fighting for anything, we're going to give Mobley his minutes. Like, here's the minutes that we would normally give him.
Yep.
But the minutes that Lauri would be taking away are Jared Allen's. To where it's like, we're not taking away Mobley's minutes.
Jared Allen, $20 million a year for the next 5 years?
Yet again, I understand that. And that's why I'm like, I'm confused, because they went and signed Jared Allen when they pretty much knew they were getting Evan Mobley in the draft. Let's be honest. They knew that Evan Mobley was going to be theirs in the draft. So I was surprised that Jared Allen wasn't a sign and trade. kind of contender for this offseason. But like, is that it? Where they're like, no, Mobley's the guy, and we're gonna split the minutes between the other two so we can figure out where Mobley fits on this team. Is he the future 5 or the future 4?
I mean, he's young, he is lean, and he is raw still.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an incredible upside, but like he doesn't have the body to play against 5s in the NBA. Like it's just you watched him get bullied in summer league.
Mm-hmm.
That should tell you everything you need to know right there. Is he doesn't have the physicality to play the 5 for an entire game. I'm sure in short stretches he'll be fine, but I would expect for the first 3 years of his career he's going to be a much better power forward than he will be a center. Now, that doesn't say they're not going to use him at the center. I'm just saying you have a fantastic defensive center in Jared Allen. And you might as well have Moe play in position. You know, his comp was one of the pieces they were talking about, like, is all about him being, you know, potentially Anthony Davis-esque. He's got the ability to ball handle like Anthony Davis. He's got a shot. He can play make a little bit. Like, his defensive instincts are fantastic. So play him the same style. Obviously, don't ruin his career the way that New Orleans did to start. But like, I'm just saying, what they really need to do is just focus entirely on his development. And I just look back and I can't see how Lauri is anything other than hedging your bet or trying to flip him. Like, you could have got something else for Nance. I don't have a problem with Nance. I like him as a player, actually. I really do. I just feel like you need a backup. You need someone to swap in for Nance anyway. I'm like, not really. You have Dean Wade, you have Mfindu. Like, you have 2 guys on that team who are young and inexpensive, who absolutely would benefit from getting more runtime. The thing that just comes to mind is like, why not? This is not a team competing for a championship. It's not a team competing for the playoffs.
Yeah.
You are a developmental team with an under 25 mentality. Like, play like it. And maybe that's the whole thing is they're like, hey, we can afford to throw money at someone like Lauri Markkanen because he didn't work out on the Bulls. He's still young. Maybe he'll be something better on this team. But if you're hedging your bet on Lauri Markkanen, I feel like you're already, I don't know what the sunk cost value of that is at that point, you know?
Well, and the thing I will say that I'm thinking about is the thing that you got to look at from the Cavs is basically Larry Nance in a second. Is that enough for Lauri Markkanen? Where which player helps you, like, which player helps your future more, Lauri Markkanen or Larry Nance? Probably Lauri Markkanen if he hits, but yet again, who's got more of the injury history? Like, that's the thing with Lauri Markkanen. Like, they both do, but with Lauri Markkanen, I don't know if Lauri Markkanen will ever hit what we thought he would be with the Bulls. Like, I wouldn't be mad if he did, because I've always wanted the best for Lauri Markkanen. I've always felt bad that it always was like, it was always the same story with Lauri. He would start out a season well, get injured. Then he'd be out for a couple weeks. Then he'd come back and he'd play well. He'd like start easing back. He'd start playing well. Bulls fans would get excited. Oh my God, we're going to get Lauri back. And then he would just get hurt again. And it was just that recurring cycle. Is that going to be the same? Like, is he going to be the guy that is now just a journeyman where it's like, yeah, he's got a 4-year deal here, but is it going to be after 2 years of the Cavs looking to trade him? Because it's like, oh, this experiment didn't work. And when you get to 17.1, 17.9, is there a team out there that's going to be like, yeah, we'll take on Lauri Markkanen at $17 million? Or is at that point you're looking for like a cap filler thing to where it's like we're filling him as a big deal to try to get something else?
Yeah. I mean, again, no contract is untradeable. That's what we've learned over the last couple of years. From chat, they're saying Jake's talked about how Lauri fits the Cavs much better than Nance, and you're not wrong. The problem is that they needed to go get a wing, and they got Lauri Markkanen. They needed to go get Kyle Anderson. That was the answer. That was the guy who was available, and they chose Lauri Markkanen over Kyle Anderson because of age, I'm guessing. I'm a little surprised by it. I think that didn't make fucking sense to me, but whatever. Like, yes, he has a point guard now. Yes, he has a team that should be able to work around his deficit around the defensive side much better. If he plays next to Jared Allen or at most of Jared Allen, he'll have someone who can play strong in the paint and get the rebound, so he doesn't have to worry about that. he can go back to that. The problem is, like, how much time does he think he'll have the ball in his hands? Because remember how Lauri hated the fact that he got turned into a spot up shooter?
That's what he's gonna be. Like, he's playing with Colin Sexton.
Like, I was gonna be like, so they got Darius Garland, who's phenomenal young talent, and better than any point guard we've had for the last like 4 years. But they also have Colin Sexton. I don't know if you heard of him. Yeah. He doesn't really like to run an offensive set and pass the ball to other people. It's kind of the biggest hindrance outside of his height. So I'm interested to see how they're gonna run sets for Lauri specifically, and how they think that this will be. How Lauri will benefit more from this. Like, yeah, he'll have opportunity and better spacing and someone to protect the brim. Yeah. So he doesn't have those kind of expectations. But his role on the team might be very similar to knocking down threes and just not being able to ball handle and create for himself, which is something that he looked like he really enjoyed, and he had more confidence when he was doing that.
Let me ask you this. Like, before the draft, everyone was on the Colin Sexton is going to get traded train. Is that still a possibility in your mind? Like, what's the percentage that you think Colin Sexton could still get moved this season? Like, are the Cavs done? Or is this you know what? Colin Sexton, they might look at it and go, yeah, we're not done. Colin Sexton could be on the move. No offer is written off, basically.
I think it's fair to say Sexton is available, but not urgently being pushed out of town. He's not being Ben Simmons. You know, it's a situation where he can play alongside Garland, and it's not the end of the world because, again, this is not a team with any stakes at hand. They're trying to find out who fits well together, and from the initial looks at it, it looks like the offense flows better with Sexton not on the court next to Garland, because Garland needs to be the primary ball handler for an offense to flow. Yeah. Sexton's a ball stopper. So, like, if Sexton can update his style to match Garland's growth, great. They got two guys now. They've got a core who can pair next to both of them and play defense 1 through 5. So, like, you have young guys there that all seemingly could fit. I don't think Sexton is necessarily written out of town. So I think that it's just a situation where you got to look at that, like, how far out are we planning this team to compete window? And the expectation should be 3 to 5. Yeah. You know?
And I will say, I'm getting this from NBC Sports Edge. They have the little thing with, like, updating news. And this is per beat writer Terry Pluto from about, what would that be? About 5:05 our time, Dave. So almost 4 hours ago. Yeah. The Cavs strongly denied that they are making progress towards a buyout with Kevin Love. Pluto heard mixed messages from his NBA sources, but the Cavs flat out refuted it. He writes that although the buyout talk is likely just another Kevin Love rumor, at some point a buyout makes sense for both parties. For now, the Cavs seem content to keep Love and his $60 million salary over the next 2 seasons on the books. Just don't expect him to help fantasy managers as an injury-plagued offseason on a team with a front court featuring Mobley, Allen, and now Lauri Markkanen.
And that's exactly what I said at the top. Is assuming you can move Kevin Love off the books, you're just burning more cash.
Are they looking?
And now
do you think the reason why they're not making a progress towards a buyout is because Kevin Love's like, buy me out? The Cavs are like, no. And then they're going to look to trade him, but no one wants to trade for Kevin Love.
It's the fact that the Cavs still think he is a positive value. This was 2 years in a row now where teams are like, yeah, I mean, we'll take him, but throw us a pick first. Like, and the Cavs are like, no, you owe us a pick. Kevin Love is a premier fucking big man who can stretch the floor. And like, do you know what year it is? Like, have you seen the fact that your guy won't even play for your team? He hates your coach. He shit talks your young player. Like, it's just delusional fucking trade values. And that's the problem is when one side doesn't understand what the market value is of a player. Again, I hate to do this, but back to 76ers and Daryl Morey, he knows the market value of his player. He just can't admit it because then it'd be, you just lose. So like the Cavs are in a situation with Kevin Love where they really just need to focus in on, hey, if he doesn't want to be here, we'll bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Pay him his fucking money if you don't want him in the locker room. But as long as he's there, what, is Kevin Love supposed to be a great mentor to Lauri Markkanen? Oh, I can see that working out great. Like, kid, you want to work 40 games a year tops and make hundreds of millions of dollars? I can write a book on that.
The thing I think of is Soapy says K-Love is never going to leave Cleveland. And I just had the thought in my head, K-Love is so lucky they won that title. Because if they didn't, if I was K-Love, I would hate LeBron. I would hate LeBron because he stuck him in Cleveland. Now he can't get out.
He didn't stick him in Cleveland. He signed the deal after LeBron left. Remember the timeline.
Good point.
He took the money because he's a smart man.
Was he going to get the money anywhere else, though? LeBron got him paid with the wrong team.
Maybe not. Maybe.
Do you think Kevin Love, like blue pill, red pill, would he now yet again take the NBA championship off the table?
Sorry.
Would he want to stay in Cleveland right now, or if he could go back to Minnesota, like time travel?
Oh, he wishes he could go. Yeah, I'm sure he does. But like, look, he's happy with his money. He won his championship. He played defense when it counted. He locked down Steph Curry for one possession.
Yep.
And he's got a legacy for it. And now he's got hundreds of millions of dollars for it. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he wishes he was playing on a better team with stakes on the line, but like, he chose the money route. I don't blame him for it. That's a no downside, you know?
Only thing, Dave, is he's got to be a better UFC fighter. You know what I'm talking about? Big old Kelly locking him up in the arm lock.
that did slightly ruin his career. So
yeah, I mean, slightly ruined his career.
The back issues didn't help, but whatever. Again, Cavs situation.
Yep.
I call them losers because I don't know how far out the upside is from this Lauri deal, because I think it only clouds the future of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that they would be better off getting another wing to help out this team and playing the young guys who cost them literally nothing in Dean Wade and Mfiondu Kabengele to find out if either one of these guys is part of the future, which I think Dean Wade is. I think he's literally being paid nothing, and he can knock down shots and get boards for you. So why not use him for the next year, pump up his value, and then flip him? It doesn't make sense to me to give $17 million a year to Lauri Markkanen to take away minutes from my future star in Evan Mobley. It just does not add up to me, especially with Kevin Love still on the goddamn roster.
Like I said, the Cavs confuse me, but I can kind of see a thought process, even though I don't agree with it.
They can always flip. Here's the answer. You can always flip. You can always turn around and sell Lauri. You can always turn around and sell Jared Allen.
Assets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's no 100% loss, but I just don't know that Nance for Lauri would have been my deal.
Now with the Blazers.
Nance in it too.
We'll segue into the Blazers. They are the last part of this deal. I will say up front, I actually the Bulls are the clear winner to me. The Cavs are the question mark to me. The Blazers, to me, I would almost lean on the positive side, because the way I think about it is I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't lose Zach Collins. They sign and trade Zach Collins right to the Spurs? Or did they just let him walk to the Spurs?
I think they let him walk.
Okay. So they get rid of Zach Collins.
I'm going to check that.
They get rid of Zach Collins, who, let's be honest, was constantly injured for them. So they're like, we're just going to let you go. They get a guy who can fill in that backup power forward spot, because let's be honest, Nasir Little's garbage. And they need someone behind Rocco. And this is a team where I don't mind them saying, let's give up our pick. Let's bet on ourselves almost. If it's lottery and we have a bad season, we still get the pick. But our goal with Damian Lillard is championship. It's play. If we're not making the playoffs, something drastically went wrong.
100% agree. They made the playoffs with literally half a roster and Damian Lillard hurt. So there's no way this team doesn't make the playoffs with Damian Lillard on this team.
I don't hate them saying, hey, we're going to give up our pick this year to try to get Nance to help out this team. My question for you, Dave, is how does Larry Nance fit on this team? And is he the right replacement for Zach Collins? 'Cause that's how I see it. He's a replacement to Zach Collins to help the Blazers continue to try to win in the West to keep Dame happy.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it spot on. You're not going to get a guy who's, again, in theory, who's going to help Damian Lillard win this year and quash the rumors and the trade and all the talks around him demanding his way out of town. Telling Dame to wait another year for pick 23 to help you out, that's not going to get you happiness. So they had to make a move. Future draft capital is fine, because if things do hit the fan, not gonna, not get back 4 first rounders for Dame or maybe 1 or 2 for CJ, depending on the deal that goes out there. Nurkic probably still has that. Like, if they want to blow it up, they will have picks.
Yeah.
The problem right now is you need to go in with the picks that you currently have in order to keep Dame happy and compete for a chance at a championship. I don't think they're going to be favorites by any means, but I think this does improve their odds. I think that getting Larry Nance in there, assuming he's healthy, is massive for this bench unit. Absolutely massive, because think about the Blazers team was so stretched. They were completely stretched thin last year because all of their bigs got hurt, and then just turned into like a cascading amount of issues where you had to rely on guys who should not be in positions to carry an offense. And then eventually you had CJ and Dame both break down. Like, from a scoring standpoint, Nance can get buckets. He can hit some threes every once in a while, but he's high energy. He's a bouncy guy who will attack the boards, and that's exactly what you want. You need somebody who can complement that roster, and if they want to play small and fast, he's awesome for that. He can play up-tempo. He can play small ball 5 for you. It doesn't matter that he's only like 6'7". It honestly doesn't. He's awesome at it. So I'm excited by the signing. The fact that Stotts gave up on Derrick Jones Jr. as the season went on was so telling. It was weird because I thought he was a great signing when it happened. And I'm like, great, this guy just got done in Miami being, a high energy defender who could really just yam it down in a fast break and be a good slasher for you. And I'm like, perfect. Let him play defense and let him get backdoor cuts while everybody's double teaming Dame. Like, this is awesome. And then they just didn't use him that way. So I'm a little disappointed in that. And I'm not sure what to expect, whether it was a failing on his part or a failing on the Trailblazers coaching staff and schemes. So as a Bulls fan, I'm a little like, I'm hesitant, but I'm still upsides there. But for the Blazers, it's like, hey, we got a guy who, again, is asterisk healthy, is going to be a massive help for this team and going to get minutes on a nightly basis 100% because they need him to perform out there, because he can't play fucking Greg Brown's retarded ass for 30 minutes a night. He literally doesn't know how to play the game of basketball all the time. So it is what it is, Ricky. I had to drop it.
Dave's going full Soapy here.
I had to do it.
Soapy was the only one that used that word.
I don't use it often. I know I shouldn't use it. It makes me a bad person at times. But I literally couldn't think of a more descriptive word for the lack of basketball IQ that man possesses.
Soapy right now is just Palpatine. He's got the hood on, like, yes, let the hate flow through you.
Apologize. Bleep me if you want to.
Yeah, we can't bleep you. Fuck it, we'll do it live, Dave.
Yep.
But like that's like when it comes to this deal, just in total, like what you were saying, like the Blazers did what they needed to try to stay like I shouldn't say relevant, but like they did what they needed to stay competitive.
Yep.
The Cavs tried to go for the future, or trying to go for possibilities and assets. And the Bulls are one where the one thing I didn't mention when we talked about the Bulls that kind of sparked into my mind when you were talking about Derrick Jones Jr. is all of the pressure this year is on Billy Donovan. It's all on Billy Donovan. How are you going to use these new shiny toys to be successful? Because if you can't, I think it's time to bring in someone who can. Like Trailblazers, they have a new coach. Cavaliers, I guess, like, coach doesn't really matter when you're trying to lose. You just, like, you have a guy that can at least, like, build some chemistry. And then with the Bulls, it's just, like, I just think back to, we have all these new players. Billy D better get it done, or we got to go ahead and get some. Like, I'll ask you, do you think at the end of the year, does this Bulls season, even if it goes well, are we looking at it going, yeah, I don't think Billy's the guy?
50-50, I'll be honest. I think it's coin flip right now.
Dave's like, I gotta wait and see how we play.
I'm not. Well, here's the thing. We're leaning into
hype.
What he? Well, no, hype absolutely. But like, we're leaning into the offensive players or style of players that he prefers. He prefers going 3 guards. He prefers using smaller lineups. The sets he ran on the Thunder, we saw some of that last year, but some of the things he couldn't do because we lacked the personnel. Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see what he pulls out for us this year. Look, I'm not saying that he's, got to win 55 games, but I do think that anything, shy of like 44 is a disappointment. And I know that might seem like a lot for people who are like, your team was on pace to win like 35 games last year. And I'm like, hey, if we're healthy, we should be winning like 44 this year. That's what it feels like to me. I really am just, I'm trying to temper my expectations because I think that we have so much hype inside of Chicago that the fans outside of Chicago hate us at this point. I don't want to become like that Toronto, that Boston, that annoying fan base that overhypes their team beyond like reality, you know? And not shots at those. It's just that's what you guys are. That is a stereotype for a reason, you know? But yeah, I think that the most interesting thing, like looking at this trade and like what it does for the Bulls, though, it gives us options at the wing moving forward. If Troy Brown Jr. doesn't take a step, we got a guy. You know, we don't have to rely on him to be that guy. Also,
and then we could try to move Troy. Like we could try to move Troy Brown Jr. if he doesn't if he's not panning out.
Well, I mean, I hope he does. I liked him coming out of the draft. You liked him. You're a big Oregon guy. When you were talking about dunkers, though, I mean, you didn't even mention is it Baxter Jr. From our summer league team?
Yeah, they didn't have him on the. They had the big.
Well, I don't know if he's going to make the team or not, or what his contract. I just remember that dunk in summer league, and I was like, well, that guy. I want that guy on the team. But yeah, I think that honestly, the biggest winner of this, like to help their team, I think is the Blazers. Like, I think it's a Blazers win now move, and we should see the impact in the playoffs this year. The one thing I didn't mention for Larry Nance, he's a good passer for a big. Like he operates out that high post really. And for a team whose backup point guard might be Anthony Simons this year, you need somebody who can pass the ball, you know?
And I did find the picture. It said Chicago Bulls have tons of dunkers on their new roster. And it says new roster. Zach was there, but it's got Zach, DeMar, Jones Jr., Lonzo, and then the Caruso.
Oh, Caruso, yeah. There's some highlights there. But no, I mean, it should be entertained one way or the other. But yeah, I think this is a good move for 2 out of 3, maybe 3 out of 3. Maybe the Cavs fans will, over the next couple of years, I'll see some light in value in Lauri, and great. Never going to root against the guy. I'm just very sad about his time and what could have been here if we felt he was used right, when he was healthy.
You only rooted against him when he was at Arizona, and it wasn't even rooting against him. It was rooting against his coach for not using him right.
See, that's the thing. People who are OGs of MVP know that I was the biggest fanboy of Lauri Markkanen in college up until tournament time. And then his coach decided that Lauri needs to play like an old school fucking big and back his ass down into the paint. And I literally just had like this split moment where I was like, I fucking hate this man. He's the worst player in existence. How dare they use him like this? Well, like, you were born to shoot the ball from the outside. You were born to be a 7-foot fucking sniper. And we got you backing down people in the paint where you got no muscle, you got no ass, you got no fucking comfort with post moves. What are we doing here? And like, yeah. So I love Lauri. I hope the best for him. And I hope that, it somehow works out on the Cavs, but I think there's a lot of more questions being added to the Cavs. Maybe I don't know. I just feel like it's hedging their bet.
I got to look it up.
It's a hedge.
I got to look it up before we wrap everything up. Do you remember, I'm going to ask you before I look it up, do you remember who the point guard was on Lauri Markkanen's last year at Arizona? What his name? Oh, there it was. Do you remember who was the point guard that we were all hyped out about in the draft? He played for the Knicks, Dave. That's where I remember him from. He's got a similar name to a new Bulls member this year. His first name. Guy we got from the Pelicans. He has a similar first name to Lonzo Ball. Alonzo Trier.
You know what? I mean, calling him a point guard is a fucking stretch.
I mean, he was the point guard in college. Like,
he's a shooting guard.
Yeah, he was running the offense. Let's put it that way.
He was running the offense, for better or worse.
Oh, me and Alonzo Trier have the same birthday? I didn't know that. Do you know what team he's on now? He's been on the Knicks for the last 2 years, and right now he's on the Iowa Wolves.
Good for him.
G Leaguer, baby. Let's go.
There was 2 weeks where he was having like an Emmanuel Quickley run, and then all of a sudden, no.
Fell off
Turns
the
out
face of
he
the earth.
was. Turns out that you just give a shit player infinite free run with your offense, and he can put up good numbers, and that is where empty numbers comes from.
Mm-hmm. But that's going to do it for us talking about this trade. If you are watching live right now, thank you. Chat's been blowing up. I love it.
Yep.
Thank you for everyone who commented in YouTube chat, even if we did not say your response. We have read them. We have seen them. If you're watching this after the fact, let us know what you think down below in that comment section. Also, join the MVP Discord if you're not in it already. NBA chats, as well as so many other sports conversations happening each and every day. Join that for free in the description. You can also follow, or you can also support us, patreon.com/MVPvids, or become a channel member today. That is going to do it for us in this video. We'll be coming back with a lot of video ideas on the horizon. Dave was teasing one. I'm not going to promise anything. I'm not even going to say what it is.
No, we float out there. If you guys like the discussions we have in Discord, if you guys like the discussions we have in Discord, I think there are a couple there that I would like to expand on in video form and kind of talk through, because I love talking to you guys about stuff. And when it's like you get the ideas flowing, you're like, man, I could go for like 10, 15 minutes on this guy, maybe, like just talking about a situation in the NBA. Today it was Damian Lillard. And shout out to our Discord, because I think it was an awesome discussion around Dame, what motivates him, what his legacy will be, and like, is it a good or bad thing that he's still in Portland? You know, at the end of the day, like, are we too used to people demanding their way out? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yet again, I would love, like, you were talking about that. I'm like, oh, that'd be great. Just here,
right? You can see how how it opens up.
I mean, me and you got into it, and it just started the conversation again. But thank you guys for checking this out, as you always do. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
WPN.